Imagine this. You're walking across the bridge you take to work every day when suddenly, through the haze from the morning river, you notice a figure that appears to be climbing over the railing. Cars keep driving. People keep walking. But you stop. Your heart starts racing. Your gut sinks, telling you everything you need to know about what you were potentially about to witness. One question is flooding your mind. What could I possibly say? How can I convince a complete stranger that life is worth living? And in the next 15 seconds. These are the moments when an entire human life can hinge on a single conversation. Or in the case of today's story, hundreds of conversations.
That is like my absolute nightmare.
What is being put in a situation like this?
No, having to have hundreds of conversations, that would just that'd suck. Anyway, thank you, Kate, for that intro, and thank you everyone at home and on the road for tuning into today's episode. If you're watching instead of listening, you might have noticed that we are no longer in my parents' basement, and that's because we all actually support ourselves living in different parts of the U.S. And that brings us to Julia. She's the one that brings the spark to the campfire and the courtesy laugh to any unfunny joke we tell. I'm, of course, referring to our last week's host,
Julia.
Bang, nailed that one. Speaking of last week's episode, if you caught it, you might remember that sister number 3 owns a daycare. But don't let that fool you, because this sister cares even at night. She is our resident media and content consumer. Our little miss always has a tummy ache out in Florida.
Got her.
Yeah.
You know what? You're wrong. I don't care. I'm
Which
Olivia.
part?
You didn't even let her say her own name.
I got too excited.
Olivia.
Go ahead.
Olivia. Miss always has a tummy ache. I do always have a tummy ache.
With over 11 years of art directing nationally recognized and award-winning magazine brands, owner of her very own design business, and over 20 months of experience as a dedicated supermom, we have our oldest and sometimes even wisest sibling.
You mean always the wisest, Katelyn?
Yeah. Of course. Pardon my slip of tongue. Anyway, let's get into today's episode.
Quick content note before today's episode. This episode discusses self-harm and self-unalive. We unfortunately must use the term self-unalive in place of the clinical term to help avoid automated content restrictions. Apologies if that takes some getting used to. For the audio listeners, we unfortunately cannot say the full link address out loud due to it containing that word, but that link can be found in the description of this video and will be displayed on the screen several times throughout the episode. And it contains an international database of hotline numbers for your region. Okay, back to the episode.
This is episode number 2 of Not a Murder Podcast, and the title of today's episode is...
Not an angel.
And you're listening
to Not a Murder Podcast. Come on, y'all.
Okay.
And you're listening to...
And you're Not a Murder Podcast.
Can we
All right,
play
who's saying it?
And you're listening to...
Not a murder podcast.
Fucking say it right. It's not that goddamn hard.
All right, so what I really want to start with is the question I asked at the beginning of the show. What could I possibly say that would convince a complete stranger that life is worth living in the next 15 seconds? So I immediately want to get into that and hear what Julia and Olivia think they would do.
Oh, God.
Like a quick...
I have no idea.
Have you guys not already thought of this? Like, I feel like the male brain at least, I feel like I go through these scenarios in my head, like, anytime there's a free moment of, like, how would I save the day if I had to kind of do.
I think mine tend to go more towards, like, if somebody's trying to rob me or steal somebody near me, like, what would you do to distract somebody? Maybe that's the answer, distract.
Yeah, that's
what we learned in the military is the 3 Ds. Direct, distract. Oh, God. I'm going to forget the third one. Shit.
Detonate.
Damn it. I really can't remember.
And that's
Olivia,
our
what do you
U.S.
think?
military. Yeah, Olivia.
No, that was my thought too. Like, what question can I ask just to start a conversation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
honestly,
I feel like as long as
a good
they're
answer.
talking,
I think with that, you'll end up relating to our hero today. So
Delegate.
Yeah.
Third one is delegate.
we got there.
I remember.
Damn.
Okay, we got there.
clip
I'm
that.
glad. I'm glad. I feel safer now.
It's in there.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right. Well, yeah, most of us hope we never have to answer that question, but Chun Zi has spent more than 20 years trying to do exactly this. So here's the story. It was an ordinary Saturday morning in Nanjing, China. Chun Zi was making another pass across the Yangtze River on his scooter. Really hope I'm pronouncing that right. He'd done this many times before, but then he saw her. A young woman gripping the railing, staring into the river. He cautiously approached her and asked her what's wrong, but she said nothing. He says, "I know your burden is heavy and your mind is overwhelmed. What's on your mind that we can't think this through?" But
Wow.
still, literally nothing. She won't say anything. So he decides to give her 3 choices. 1, leave the bridge. 2, call emergency services. Or 3, let him take her to his house where she could live for a time with him and his wife and daughter. So, when Chun got on the phone to call for help, she started climbing the railing. He dropped the phone and lunged to seize her hand. But she pulled out of his grasp and started climbing higher on the railing, literally teetering on the edge. He threw his arms around her and yanked her over the railing, pulling her from her attempted leap. The police arrived, and in the commotion, the girl ran into the street and disappeared into the crowd. And Chen never saw her again. So here's the strange part about this guy is he's not a psychologist. He's not a police officer. He's not even getting paid to be there. Chen is just your run-of-the-mill 58-year-old man living in Nanjing, China, which is the capital city of Jiangsu, a province in eastern China. Nailed it.
Nailing it.
So in 2003, after reading an article about the staggering number of jumpers, which averaged about 1 a week on the Yangtze River Bridge in Nanjing, Chen Si made it his personal mission to patrol the bridge. So
we don't ever hear from that girl again.
no,
That was
That's
just the start of
crazy.
his journey.
that's the start. Yeah. And honestly, that might have not even been the first.
Wow.
But it was
First
one of the
what?
only... Sorry.
Was it ever an official report? Like,
Yeah, it was... That all came from a really long feature article in GQ.
wow.
What an insane thing, too, to think on your feet that quickly. Because to give her 3 options, too, to make her think, like, hey, one of these 3 things is an option for you. I feel like that could direct you away from the 2 options you feel like you had before.
That's so true. And honestly, I want to say he was thinking on his feet, but a big part of this is that he decided that he was going to go to the bridge and try to look for people who needed this kind of help.
So he
That
was doing
day.
that before he saw her.
Yeah. So this is where, okay, so in 2003, after reading an article about all of these jumpers, like I was saying, like it was averaging 1 a week, he made the personal decision to start patrolling the bridge. So he started dedicating every Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. to patrol the bridge. He rides across it on a scooter every day, 20 minutes north, 20 minutes south. He even has a uniform now. He wears a red volunteer's uniform with "Cherish Life Every Day" written in Chinese and English on it. And he has now been doing this for more than 2 decades.
Wow.
So if this story wasn't his like beginning motivation, do we know what was?
I really think it was just the article he read and maybe searching
Wow.
for a purpose. That's speculation. But yeah, I honestly don't even know if that was his first experience or his many, many in the future. So a little bit of a curveball there for you.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That makes so much more sense now that he kind of knew
He
what
had
to
to
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's probably practiced it and trying to figure
Yeah.
out what's been working.
Right.
Yeah. For all we know, the first time he just like tackled a person, you know?
Right.
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 Like no trade. That's so interesting too. I wonder if there's any like thing against that. Like you don't know how to handle the situation. Maybe you shouldn't be the one doing this, but he did do a lot in that situation. Like he saved her life.
Yeah, he did. And there is interesting discussion points in that realm.
Okay.
We will definitely get there. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about his like origin story. He was raised by his grandmother after his mother abandoned him at 6 years old. And he grew up in poverty. It was pretty bad in rural Jiangsu. And his grandmother at that time took it upon herself to act as an unofficial town therapist. So you can see where he got this. He said, quote, "When we were not busy, my grandmother would always take me to mediate neighborhood disputes. A couple quarreling, some innocent person wronged, etc. So when I was young, I got a habit from her. I became nosy. So as I grew up, my grandmother's behavior had a big impact on me. Words cannot express the importance of the life lessons my grandma taught me."
Oh.
So that's him. That's Chen. And one of his discussions he's having, the bridge in the background, which I'm about to get into because this bridge is a doozy. First of all, you can't tell from this photo, but the bridge is 4 miles long, and
Whoa.
there's a 4-lane highway on top and a double train track railway underneath it. And both sides have a walking path on either side. It's almost 500 feet tall to its highest point, and for reference, that's roughly the height of the Washington Monument. And I did a little side-by-side for you guys. According to an article in the Taipei Times, the Nanjing Yangtze River Bridge, which is one of the most frequent self-unaliving locations globally, at one point even surpassing the rates from the Golden Gate Bridge.
Wow.
While precise contemporary annual figures are not widely published by authorities, historical estimates suggest that an average of 20 to 50 people intentionally plunge to their deaths from the bridge every year, which is kind of hard to even imagine.
Did you already say, I might have missed it. Did you say how deep that water was? Because that water looks really deep.
No, I actually don't even know.
But look how muddy it is too. Maybe that's just that day, but like it doesn't look...
No, it's actually mentioned in a lot of different articles that the water is like very commonly brown. The Yangtze River's depth varies significantly by location and season, ranging from 30 meters and or 100 feet on an average up to 236 feet deep. A jump from this bridge would send someone plunging over 300 feet, which would be at about the speed of 65 miles per hour. So that fast, it's going to make the water feel like equivalent to hitting concrete, essentially. So very, very, very low chance of survival. And I wanted to talk about mental health in China in general, because although it's better now, mental health in China is viewed a lot differently than it is in the US, especially like 20 years ago when he started doing this. In the 90s and early 2000s, China represented a third of the world's self-unalivings, with almost 290,000 annually. And that's obviously not just on the bridge.
Right.
Another blurb here. According to a study published in 2022 in the National Library of Medicine, the overall self-unaliving rate in China was approximately 23 in 100,000 people in the late 90s, and was one of the highest in the world. Moreover, obviously I did not write that. I've never
This
said
is a
moreover in my life. Yep, this is a study published. This is actually really interesting though. China was the only country in the world where female rates were higher than males.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. However, in the past 2 decades, the Chinese self-unaliving rates have steadily and significantly decreased. So yay, that's good. So 20 years ago, it was 23 in 100,000 people. Now it's about 7 in 100,000 people.
Wow.
So
It's a huge
I give them some
difference.
props because they are doing something, obviously, to get the rates to go down. But 20 years ago, it was really kind of like shameful to have mental health issues, and it was an issue of pride, and like the government didn't want to deal with it, and so they kind of like brushed it under the rug. And they think that even to an extent, some of these situations weren't even reported or counted, so it could be even higher. Nowadays the gender ratio has swapped, and it is males are more likely. I didn't even mention this documentary. He has a documentary, guys. It's called The Angel of Nanjing, and it's all about all of this. And after watching it, I thought that it was pretty obvious that this guy had no real training, and he's just kind of winging it. But over the years, he has figured out what to look out for when trying to spot someone at risk of jumping, like heavy posture, a downward gaze, hands on the rail looking over, wandering around without a purpose. There it is. That's the documentary cover. Honestly, I was actually a bit taken aback by his methods. Like, he can actually be a little gruff or even aggressive, especially with the men. I personally don't think that's how I would approach someone in these scenarios. If we're going back to the question at the beginning of this episode, and I want to add that at least in the documentary, like, he would often yell or even use shame to get a person to change their mind.
Wow.
I want to note that, like, this could maybe be like a translation thing. Like, the documentary was in Chinese. It could be a cultural thing that I just don't personally resonate with. But in an article written in GQ, the one I mentioned earlier, the author's firsthand experience as he shadowed one of Chen's rescues, he heard Chen say, quote, "I should punch you in the face. You call yourself a family man? A son? Chinese? If your father hadn't been in the army and if you didn't try to kill yourself just now, I'd punch you." And
What
I'm
the
not going to
hell?
lie, like, when I read this and I watched the documentary, there was a part of me that was like, do I even want to choose this person as my hero? Like, it really shook me. And at the end of the day, like, I didn't want to discount the things that I don't understand about Chinese culture and what might work for, like, this man versus somebody else. According to that same article in the Taipei Times, he says that women are easier to deal with. You can talk to them and try to get them to cry it out. The men, I usually tackle them because they seldom listen and they can be very strong.
I was wondering if his approach is almost shock value. Like, I am going to say what I need to say to get him to back up. You know, like, not that he actually means what he's saying, but he just knows that that's a surefire way to, like, get them to redirect where their brain's at.
Yeah. Like, anger is
Just-
better than nothing. Like, feeling nothing.
Maybe.
I do like that perspective because it's almost like hard for me to accept him as a hero when I hear that he talks to people this way. But that would shake a person out of whatever current state they're in.
Well, and to think about outside of themselves in that moment. Like,
Yeah, true.
Right.
And there really is like an equal amount of like empathetic and caring things he says. And so I gathered a few of my favorites that I found inspirational and I wanted to read them to you. So he told Newsweekly, quote, "I want to tell these people that as long as you have breath, you have hope to start your life over." And once he saved a woman who was intending to jump because her husband cheated on her, and he told her, this is one of his famous quotes, "If the sky falls, I'll be your big brother and hold it up for you." I thought that was really nice.
Yeah.
And another one that he said is, "The reason I'm persistently committed to rescuing people on this bridge is to wake up more people's sense of responsibility and love to care for one another." And I really loved that. And it actually made me think of Tiffany from your episode, Julia, because
Yeah.
she talks a lot about, like, we need to care for our neighbors. And, like, at the end of the day, I genuinely, like, I think about my values, and I really do think we all have a responsibility to love and care about the other people in this world, even if they don't have anything to do with us personally.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a chance to guess how many people you think that he's saved to this day. He started in
I was gonna ask
2003, and he's still doing it today.
Dang. Okay, so 23 years.
Don't do math.
and he goes out every day.
Every Saturday and
Saturday
Sunday.
and Sunday.
Oh, Saturday and Sunday. 54.
What's 50 times 23? 912.
So Olivia guessed 54 and Julia guessed 912. All right, well,
There was
here's
a sign.
Here's how many he's saved. 469.
Dang.
So you guys,
Ooh.
you know,
We split the difference
Really
for
off.
sure. Like, honestly, average. Our average,
Both
I'm pretty
so,
sure,
so
is
wrong.
460. That's
Yeah,
a
we did that
crazy amount
together,
of people,
actually.
though.
469. And what's crazy is that this number probably could be even higher if it weren't for the massive size of this bridge. Like I said earlier, like, it's 4 miles long and has a 4-lane highway between 2 sidewalks. So this would mean that it's basically impossible for one person to like safeguard both sides.
Yeah.
So, you know, if he saw someone that needed help across the bridge, he would have to like get on a scooter and go miles. Like he can't run through traffic, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But of course, he came up with a solution for that. He started training other volunteers for the cause who now help him patrol.
Wow.
So, you know how I mentioned at the beginning that he never found out what happened to the girl he saved at the beginning?
Yeah.
So he now says, quote, "The most important thing about rescuing people is dealing with the aftermath." And if you think about it, that just makes sense. Like you aren't just curing someone of their depression by stopping them this one time. So Chun has used his savings to rent rooms for people that he's persuaded not to jump and personally covers all their expenses.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah. And in the documentary, he actually ended up renting a whole other apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment for a year with his own money to bring people there. It's kind of like his safe house for them. He calls it the Soul Center, and it gives them a place of refuge to come down from the event, and he convinces them to eat and drink and talk. And he's actually started partnering with students or psychology students at the university, and he brings them in so that they can actually get some legit counseling because, as we know, he has none.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, you know, you read these things and I'm like, I feel bad for thinking that maybe he's not a nice guy, but it's just hard to say. Like, I've never met him, obviously.
Well, and you think about it too, like in the heat of a moment like that, I can't imagine the adrenaline and crazy things that are going through your head. And like you're grasping at straws or desperately trying to convince this person of something. Like you said, 15 seconds to convince someone not to. Like, if that's what comes out and that's what gets them down off that ledge, like.
Yeah, that's a great point. And
And he's done 469. Like, I
That's
feel like he's kind of
crazy.
built a reputation of, or not a reputation, but maybe just a system. Like he knows certain things work and he knows certain things don't. But I could also find it being like, if I were in his shoes, I imagine he hasn't saved everyone, and that's probably pretty taxing on his mental health. So I would like imagine he might start getting like pissed at a certain point when he goes up to somebody
Yeah,
and he's
a little
like,
jaded.
if you fall, I have to watch this and endure this trauma or whatever it may be, just trying to put myself in his shoes, but who really knows, you know?
there is
Yeah.
a part in the documentary, or maybe one of the articles, where he says that there were a handful of times where he did watch people go over that he couldn't save. And he's since learned that he has to turn around and not watch, or else it just plagues his dreams and his mind, which who wouldn't.
Right. That's
But
insane.
he does keep in touch with a lot of the people he's saved, and he apparently even has like a yearly Christmas party to bring everyone together.
What?
Yeah.
I want to go.
And some, I know, and some of these people are actually like his closest friends too.
Wow.
I gathered a few things from people that he saved who've spoken about their experience with him, and one said, "He has spoken to me every day since I walked out of my depression. I feel that it became easier for me to go through the difficulties, and I can hold on to life now."
Wow.
So you can imagine like how heavy all this is to face these people and try to convince them to live is one whole thing. But during the week when he's at work, sometimes he'll get news of jumpers that he couldn't be there for. He says when he hears the news about people during the week, it has a profound impact on him, and says that the number of people he's failed to save over the years is at least 80 or 90.
Wow.
He mentioned that in the documentary. So since he can't be there all week, he's posted billboards and plaques around the bridge with hopeful messages and his personal phone number. Do we want to do another number guess? How many phone calls do you think he's gotten? Let's just skip it. 55,000. Would you ever have guessed that?
No.
His phone sometimes will just freeze up on him because he gets so many phone calls. His phone number apparently is written in like some school textbooks or things like that. And so when the school year gets intense, he starts getting a lot of phone calls from students too.
Wow.
Wow.
This man is a helpline.
Yeah, he's
Literally.
basically a helpline.
Yeah. Where are the like
The real ones?
funded systems?
There are some, and we will list that phone number at the end of the episode.
Okay.
One of the signs on the bridge that he posted reads, maybe you feel tired, maybe you think this is the end of the world, or maybe you have been wronged, but life comes only once, so please give yourself one more chance because tomorrow the sun will bring something new. You obviously saw this on the title of the documentary called The Angel of Nanjing, which moves into why I titled this episode Not an Angel, and he specifically says himself, like, I don't think I'm an angel because I can't save them all. So maybe
It's kind of sad that he feels this like responsibility.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Saving over 400 lives. And
Still feeling like you didn't do
Still.
enough. Like,
yeah. Wow.
It has to be such a burden. And
Yeah.
when you think about how he's really giving up, what he's giving up, he has a wife and a daughter.
Yeah.
He's not seeing them on the weekends.
And not to mention like money too, because he's funding an entire apartment for people to go find refuge. And
Yeah.
can't, like, we all know how expensive it is to live.
Right.
Double that. And that he's doing that for
Yeah, where
strangers.
does he get his money?
Well, he has a full-time job.
Yeah, but
working.
that's like to support others as well. Like that's, you got to double your
Yeah,
rent
really,
payments. I
at
couldn't
one-
do that.
At one point, like I read an article saying that he was only making like, well, I don't know how the conversion. I think it said 300 something a month, but I don't know what that is in China.
Yeah. Interesting.
It wasn't a lot though. He said that he would give half of his money to his family and the other half goes towards this mission.
Wow.
wow.
How crazy is it though that is a life calling? Like how many people can say, this is what I am choosing to do every day of that I have free of work and all my extra money is going to this and all my extra time. Like
It really
that's
must
that's
be
a calling. Yeah, that's
Well,
crazy.
and he like it obviously ran in the family. His grandma went around town trying to help other people,
yeah.
even if she wasn't wanted, you know? And obviously there's scenarios here too where people will probably like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
And maybe the only remarkable thing isn't that Chen has saved hundreds of people. Maybe the biggest lesson here is that he refuses to believe a stranger's life is somebody else's responsibility.
Yeah. Holy crap.
I know that this wasn't the most like beginning to end story. There was a lot of just information about him, but what he's been doing for the past over 20 years is honestly,
Heroic.
it is. He's a hero, even if he can be a little aggressive at times. Again, to each their own. He's saving lives. So that's Chen.
Almost
Heroes come in
500
all
lives.
shapes and sizes.
This is true.
Crazy.
But also that number, sorry, last thing is that number really puts it in perspective for me because you said he's been doing this for 20 years. He saved 469 lives and hasn't saved 80 something. Like that's
Yeah.
a very
But that was
tangible number in my mind.
Crazy.
But that was
Huge.
He said that about the 80 to 90 lives in the documentary, which was filmed in like 2010.
Right. Yeah.
So if you think that's
Double it.
80 people in 8 years,
Yeah.
and now it's 2026.
That is crazy. It's just, yeah, so many people.
This is a crazy thought, but like, if you, and this might not have to go in the podcast, just like weird, but put like a net under the bridge.
Some places do that. I was wondering about that.
Yeah. I feel like there's solutions to this.
That's why he's necessary, is because it sounds like where he lives doesn't have these types of resources,
Right.
or even these types of cares. Like nobody cares.
Yeah.
Also, the number one complaint with nets that I've heard is they'll just have to jump twice, which I guess might help. But like when a net catches you, you're not incapacitated. Like you can just crawl and then
But
jump
build the
again.
railings taller.
Yeah.
Right. Something. Over 20 years if this is such a huge issue. Like,
Yeah. Because that
Something.
bridge by our high school that we all went to, I feel like that had like a complete overhang of gate, right? Like it went up and then it arched completely down.
yeah.
Like it didn't touch the
Yeah.
ground, but it like had protection. And that was just like a short little bridge that no one's probably ever jumped off of.
Yeah. Well, and they also say, and this is just from training that I've gotten, is like the reason why it's dangerous to have firearms in your house is because it's so fast. If you have to think of other ways or like things that will be slower ways of doing it, that creates the time difference. Even just like a gun lock, that extra 5 seconds could be the difference between you being like, oh, I should not be doing this.
Yeah.
So like some sort of railing that makes you a little bit more difficult for you to jump over, or like a barbed
Just
wire
anything.
or something, like anything to make you be like, "Ooh,
Right.
this is going to be more difficult than I thought."
A sign with Chen's number on it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, great story, Kate.
Well, folks, that does it for episode 2 of Not a Murder Podcast. Once again, hotline links can be found in the description. Join us on episode 3 next week, August 11th, for a truly treacherous tale told by yours truly. If you have a story that you think we should tell, email us at jboyden@cabintelly.com. The letter J, BOYDEN @CABINTELE.com. As always, a 5-star rating and review, a like or subscribe, or engagement of any kind on these shows is the best way that you can support this sibling ran podcast. Oh, and we have merch. So find everything on our website, notamurderpod.com. NOTA murderpod.com. See you next week.